edgy.
All right. We're back again for the Real Estate Tech Podcast. I'm Tim. Woo! I'm Tim, and we're here with Kirk, and we're joined with Tessa and Alyssa Hendry of Bitchin Digs. They specialize in designing properties, helping buyers and sellers fix homes. They do design consultations. And I guess we'll just kick it off. Yeah. What is I know we have Tessa is out in San Antonio. Is that correct? And then Alyssa is out in Mount. So let's talk about these beautiful backgrounds you guys have.
Thank you. Well, we're both in our dual state headquarters right now. I am at our Bitchin Riverwalk project, and it's on the San Antonio Riverwalk, and it's really, really hot. So luckily we have great air conditioning, but it's a really great place that we actually just finished, which it was a project that was on hold during the pandemic, and it was where we were bringing our next headquarters because we've been doing a lot of stuff in Texas as well as California, and I am almost officially licensed out here. Give me another couple weeks and I will be good to go. And Alyssa's in our original headquarters, which is what started it all in Malibu. And that is overlooking Zuma Beach, which how can you get any better than that?
Yeah, today it's perfect beach weather, so I'm staring at the ocean while we're doing this podcast. So sorry to break that to you, Tess.
The weather is probably a little bit better there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm sure.
They definitely both have their perks, but right now I'm like kind of wishing I were on the beach.
So wait, how did you guys get into the idea of Bitchin Digs? How did this all come about, and how did you get this going?
Well, we've always dreamed about it since we were little kids because our grandmother is a designer. And so she started from a small farm in Texas, and she started buying and selling properties and designing them. And then by the time we were kids, she ended up with these amazing villas in the middle of the jungle in Mexico and ranches in Nevada with wild mustangs. And so from a young age, we knew that we wanted to do similar real estate projects. And then Tessa came along. I'm the older sister. Tessa came along and she just is insanely talented at design. So when she was starting about 7 or 8 years old, she would start redoing her room every year in different themes. And
much to my family's dismay,
we realized that she was super talented, from a very young age. So when she was like 7, she did this whole sunflower room with an arbor. And then the next year she did a jazz room. And so from a young age, we've always just dreamed of doing fun projects all over the world. And so we're excited that we're old enough now and able to do it.
And to her point, our grandmother was incredibly creative, and she didn't have a ton of money, but she just got really creative, not only with design, but with real estate. She was like, how can I acquire property without having a ton of money? And she would literally find a great deal and then figure out how to trade property and trade a plot of land in Nevada for a villa in Mexico. And she was just like way ahead of her time. And I'm still figuring out how to trade property. I don't even know how she did it. But
this was long ahead of, I feel like a lot of people got into flipping in the wake of the recession in 2008. And this was like decades before that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And she only did it for herself. I mean, because she wanted to live this extraordinary life. She wasn't designing or doing real estate for clients. She was just living this epic life. And
she did. She also, when she was young, she designed the first shopping mall in Irving, Texas, which is this tiny, or it used to be a tiny little town outside of Dallas. Now it's much bigger. But yeah, then when she got older, she started doing her own properties.
And you've actually told me the story about her before. In a time in Texas when, women don't necessarily have a voice, she
Mhm.
was kind of a pioneer in a way, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
And
so cool.
honestly, even now you can still kind of feel that. I've been realizing recently. But she was way ahead of her time, even now. Like
Mhm.
there are still things that are, it's definitely different than California and doing business in California and the opportunities that we have in California. But that's a whole other
Right.
Yeah,
discussion.
Well,
no,
for
it's
grandma.
and so her background, her design kind of inspired and influenced where you are today.
oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that started our love and our passion for it. And then we just started dreaming about all these different projects we wanted to do throughout our childhood. So now I have all these different design boards of different projects that we want to do. So
Oh, so that's interesting. So are you designing? So to get into, yeah, designing for buying real estate, designing properties, do you usually come up with a design, or are you purchasing a property and then going from there? How does the design process work for you guys?
well,
Well,
we have something in mind. Like if we want to do a beach house, we'll go and look in areas that are beach houses, but then we find the place with the most epic location that we can find that has the most potential. And usually they're the horrible rundown houses that are in amazing locations that we're like, okay, this is the one. But you can
yeah.
talk more. Tessa, do you want to touch on that more too?
Yeah. Well, as she was saying, everything can be changed except for the location. And also a side point to that is the view, but the view can be changed a lot too with design, honestly,
Mhm.
because a lot of what I do in our projects is not only capturing what the beautiful parts are, but hiding the things that you don't necessarily want to see. So like our Malibu house, for instance, it has this incredible 180-degree view of the ocean, but there are also parts on the sides of the house that you wouldn't want to see of the neighbors and stuff. So we very strategically place all of the windows and all of the landscaping so that you're looking at something beautiful and hiding the neighbors and feeling like you're, having your own space and little world within this community, even though you're right up against each other. So there's so much that you can do to alter that in design. But for me, I try to be really open with the direction of the design because the land is what speaks for everything, And not only that, I really try and design to the colors in the view and the times of day that people are going to be utilizing certain parts of the property and all of that. I'm thinking about all of those details, and we're thinking about all of the details, not only from a visual perspective, but for a sensory perspective through what would be the most comfortable times of the day in certain areas, what would be the best view to look at, what kind of life are they wanting to live? Are they wanting to be more calm? Are they wanting to have more of a party house? All of those come into play.
So, I'm just kidding.
Right. All multifaceted. It's
Yeah.
interesting because I
Mhm.
do a little work with a developer on the acquisition side. And one of the biggest things that we look at is exactly what you're saying is you want the worst house in basically the best location. So
Yeah.
like the most rundown home in Malibu, or like the most rundown home in like Beverly Hills or the Hollywood Hills, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and then basically to work from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
When
And
we
can't
first bought
forget-
our
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that when we bought our first project as our own personal investment, we bought the cheapest house in Dana Point. It was literally the cheapest house in Dana Point at the time. And it was a
We're
rundown
like,
shack.
perfect.
And it was like a drug house.
But
it was
there
in
was
a
just a
great
feeling about it. We both had immediately wanted to buy it because the vibe of the land there, we knew we could make something cool out of that little shack. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the neighborhood was great, and you know, it was close to the beach, and it was marketable, and it was profitable. Those are all things we also think about, as well as the experience of the design. You have to think about profitability as an investor, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Everything.
yeah.
So you guys are working with a lot of type of clients. You have your own properties that you're buying and you're fixing up, and are you selling them or are you renting them out? How does that work?
Well, it's funny because we're kind of failed flippers. And I'll explain that because we end up finding investments that are too good to sell. At the end of the day, they're better investments to keep longer term and to rent out as either vacation rentals or, you know, production locations, photo shoot locations, or just keeping it to utilize while the rest of the surrounding neighborhood develops. And we keep trying to do all of these flips, but then end up keeping them. And it's
because
funny.
we fall in love with them.
Yeah.
And we fall in love with all the neighbors in the community. And then we realize how much the property is going to go up if we just sit on it for a couple of years.
So we're, oh, sorry.
Oh, no. So yeah. So you don't flip. Yeah. You're just turning them into vacation rentals. And I'm sure you're working with clients also are you helping them create vacation rentals or more homes that they're going to live in?
Both. I mean, a lot of our clients that have stayed in the Bitchin Beach House have hired us to make vacation rentals for them. So we've done vacation rentals all over the place because clients want us to create something for them and create a brand for them in whatever area that they're at. So
yeah, and
we
not
always love
only
doing that and branding a vacation rental.
and we do the design for them and also create the personality and marketing of the whole thing. So whatever the theme is for that particular area. But it's been really interesting because for a long time, we've been wanting to get into production location stuff with our designs because I feel like it's such a cool avenue to take our designs and open it up to that sort of thing and see all of these different artists and creatives and products using our designs and their stuff. And that's been extremely satisfying, even though we haven't been doing the flips like we started out to. This has been more satisfying to us because we're getting to share it on a greater level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's amazing. And that's a really interesting specific niche because you have to deal with a little bit more liability with the crews and the lights and all the equipment. But I could see that being, it's almost like the marketing part is almost taken care of for you. If you like use a house, for example, that Cardi B is going to use for a music video or something.
Yeah. And it's fun. Like the other night we had a person book one of our spaces for a romantic dinner. And all of a sudden the chef who won one of Gordon Ramsay's shows showed up and was the private chef for the evening. So we got to enjoy all of her amazing meals.
Oh, how funny.
The perks
Like
that.
That you wouldn't expect. You get to meet interesting people that you wouldn't normally meet from all over the world. So
yeah.
But it just kind of opens it up for not only us, but our clients to think of real estate in their life as more than what everyone traditionally thinks about it as buying and selling their own personal homes or just an investment. There are all kinds of ways that it can work for you and your life. Mm-hmm. And it all comes down to what kind of lifestyle you want and the location, really.
That's an amazing takeaway. Yeah.
Right. I was just trying to think, it's not only you're not design consultants, you're kind of like real estate, I don't know if it's like investor consultants, you know, what can you do with property is what you guys are going to show a client.
Yeah.
Basically. And a lot
of
of
the
that
potentials of a property. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. It's so easy to get consumed by, I don't even know how to explain it, but to feel like something is only one thing or only a couple of things. But I found that our success and the enjoyment that we've gotten from design and real estate has come in the spaces that we least expect. And when we keep an open mind about what it could be versus what the standard would be.
Yeah.
And it's the same with our design. That's why nothing we do is cookie cutter. And I really try to avoid designing things when someone has exact things in their mind of what they want, because that eliminates room for creating something amazing based off of what's actually there versus what they have in their head, or the materials that are available. Like maybe there's a material that you weren't thinking about that could be the catalyst for your entire design and is a much better price point than something that you had in mind that you saw someone else do.
Yeah.
And we view each real estate project as a work of art. So it really just flows based on the materials that we're getting. And, you know, with each project we try to do nods to the area. So for example, where Tess is sitting right there, that's on the Riverwalk, and you'll see the tile design behind her. And that design you'll see throughout all of San Antonio.
This
So,
shape, not
the shape of it.
necessarily the colors or the exact pattern, but there's a shape that is mimicked throughout the entire city.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to kind of
wild.
like lean into the history of the neighborhood, the history of the property,
Oh
and
yeah.
all of that becomes part of your formula, it sounds like.
Yeah. And not only if you own a house, if you create this beautiful house, then it's going to affect the entire community and make the community enjoy it, or whatever space you're creating, whether it's a yoga studio or whatever. If you create a space that people enjoy, then that's going to change the people that spend time in it, and then also positively affect the people around them and their neighbors and things like that. So
Very cool.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
could see that really changing a restaurant. You know, if you have a new restaurant in an area, just you know, thinking of the design, how that's just going to change everything about the food and the environment.
yeah. People want to come, they want to hang out, they want to spend
Yeah.
more time there. They
We
create
actually-
memories there.
We just finished a very small, beloved restaurant in Westwood next to UCLA. And it's been there for decades, and it has a cult following because the food is incredible, but it was just this hole in the wall, and everyone knew it as a hole in the wall. And now, even though it's not a big space, we completely gave it an overhaul and did a whole new soundtrack and new lighting and new marketing with neon signs that encompass you know, their
Oh,
menu
where
and
is
stuff.
this? What is this place? I have to go.
It's in Westwood. We'll have to all go there.
Yeah,
You totally should.
it's called Bella Pita.
Everyone go check out Bella Pita.
And we finished it a few months ago. We've been there once since, but we've been out of town for a while.
Traveling.
Yeah.
So,
But it's crazy how much of an impact that made. I mean, they sustained for so long because their food is incredible. And so they already had the money shot, but they just needed a little extra spice to keep it going.
You're like that, the reality show, it's called, is it like Restaurant Impossible? I forget his
I haven't
name.
seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like that. It felt like that. We had to work because we wanted to make sure that he saved as much money as possible. So we put all of our holidays aside and worked all the way through Christmas and New Year's and had our guys work through Christmas and New Year. We really lucked out with the team. They were freaking incredible. I don't know how we managed it. But we managed to do that so that he wouldn't have to shut down the shop for when people were actually in college, in classes. So
Totally.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because it's a local spot by UCLA.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, the college kids love it.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes our clients don't totally understand the direction we're going until it's implemented. And so we had this crazy idea. He is known for this particular item called a wowshi, which he actually created himself. And so we decided we wanted to make it more familiar for people and kind of a social media moment. And we were thinking about our neon signs and stuff. And we decided to go with "You had me at wowshi." And as I was pitching this idea to him, I couldn't have planned it better. There were a couple of college students in there, and he didn't understand what that meant, or the movie quote, "You had me at hello." And this girl came up and she was like, "I don't mean to interrupt, but that is the greatest idea I've ever heard. You have to do it. Everybody's going to love it. Everyone's going to take pictures with it." And he's like, "Well, I mean, I guess I'm sold."
And my favorite was when the frat guy, there was a whole group of frat guys that walked by, and all of a sudden I hear one of them go, "Dude, they're renovating the shit out of Bella Pita." And I thought, okay, yes, we're in with the college kids.
Yeah, you got some potential new clients down the road.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just give them 5 years.
Yeah. We're tapping
all
the
right.
market early.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, before we jump off, do you guys want to give your socials? How do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, we're at Bitchin Digs, Bitchin everything, BITCHIN. And no, to qualify, it is not a bad word. It's surfer lingo.
Yeah, like 1974, like, that's bitchin', man.
Yeah. I used to write in yearbooks for friends in high school. Have a bitchin' summer.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you
We
go.
were destined to be good friends then.
Totally.
Yeah.
I knew
They
it was
met
coming.
in college, and we are so glad that they did, because not only are they great friends, Alyssa and Kirk, but they led us to this amazing new company, and we're so glad to be a part of this new venture with Tim and call it, even though he couldn't make it. And we're just thrilled.
And we're so excited because I feel like together, working together, we can achieve such great things with, as we put all of our minds together too. So this partnership is so amazing.
I know.
The sky's the limit.
Excited to be with all of you because you're so creative and talented and fun and just a really great team. It just feels really.
No, it's so great having you.
Yeah.
So great having you both on our team. And yeah, here's to the success of Bitchin Digs and Niall and the Hawk.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you everybody so much. It was great, hearing more about Bitchin Digs and how you really pull out the potential of all the different real estate properties that you work with and how you do that. So if anybody wants to get in contact with you at Bitchin Digs, you can get in contact with Kirk at getkirk.com and join us at NiallHome.com.
Woo.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
until next time, take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.